Cryptid Huntress. I'm Jessica Jones. Welcome into a glitch in the Matrix today. Boy, do I have another fantastic show lined up for us. I think every time I come on air, I say fantastic about 10 times. I noticed that the other day. I went back and watched a couple of my shows and I was like, dang, everything is so fantastic. Fantastic and data. Those are my two favorite words over here on the Cryptid Huntress channel. So it's going to be an incredible show today. I'm so glad you guys are here. I'm super excited to be here. And I do have our really good friend here who's like family, Mr. Dr. Dennis Carroll is here in the studio today. We're going to be covering the Batsquatch today. I love the Batsquatch. I can't believe we haven't covered this one fully. It's a shocker. So we're doing that today. We will also be talking about other winged cryptids as well, including gargoyles. I think I've briefly talked about those on the channel, and like the Jersey Devil and Mothman, and even flying monkeys. I've got a few of those in my life. I've had them in the past. They used to follow me around. I think I got rid of most of them, but I still got them. I think a lot of us do. So you guys will be able to relate to some of this just like I am. And we're going to have a good time today. This is going to be a really fun show. We got a lot of information for you guys and a lot of encounter experiences. So go get the popcorn, buckle up, y'all. And let's talk about the Batsquatch today. The winged, it looks like a Bigfoot, but the way it's described actually sounds like a Dogman kind of to me too. So we're going to dive into that angle as well. And so, yeah, thank you guys for being here. If you guys would like to follow along with all of my shows and check out all the archives of all my shows, please go to thecryptidhuntress.com. You guys can find all of the events that I'll be at. I just updated that today. I have like 2 or 3 more events that I haven't posted yet because they're kind of up in the air right now. So I'm not exactly sure. When I set those down and they get set in stone and everything, I will put some more events on that calendar. But for now, we do have the Georgia Bigfoot Conference coming up. I just talked to a buddy last night down in Florida, one of the skunk ape kings down there. He may be coming up for the Georgia Bigfoot Conference to speak with me. I get to be the keynote speaker, y'all. I'm so excited to that. That is March the 22nd in Demarest, Georgia. So if y'all are around the Georgia area, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, South Carolina, wherever, y'all come on up and hang out with us. That's always a big event. And a lot of great vendors and wonderful speakers will be there. Again, that's Saturday, March 22nd in Demarest, Georgia at Piedmont University. We're going big time. We're at a university this time. So that'll be awesome. And also there are other events too, but I wanted to let you guys know that the early bird tickets will be going offline. Okay, you can still get tickets, but they got a discounted ticket for the 2025 Full Disclosure Now Conference in St. Petersburg, Florida. That's going to be July the 15th through the 18th. I'll be there too. I'm giving a big old presentation down there. So you guys come hanging on the beach with us. I know Maureen was down there last year, the girl in her gong. She came down and hung out with us, and that was a really good time. And I hope to see everybody back there this year. Okay. All right. Well, if you guys would like to support my work, I do have a Patreon and I have an Etsy shop. Y'all just go visit that. You can find all that information on my website as well. And I want to thank everybody for all your support and to all my channel members as well. Okay, let's get the show going. Let's get the show on the road. Let's talk about Batsquatch today, y'all. This one's wild. I mean, Bigfoot is big enough, right? We've already got Sasquatch, Bigfoot. We got Dogman. But imagine a Dogman with wings. What the hell? Okay. It can swoop down and scoop you up. So, yeah. Anyways, let's go there. On this episode, we are discussing the legendary Batsquatch, the mysterious flying Bigfoot-like creature first seen in Washington in the 1980s after the eruption of Mount St. Helens. This hulking beast is said to have yellow eyes, a dog-like muzzle, blue fur, sharp teeth, bird-like feet, and leathery bat-like wings that span up to 50 feet wide. It's said to be about 9 feet tall, and it has the ability to affect car engines, electronics, and more. This is one of a few known cryptids. I know cryptids are not supposed to be known. That's why they're cryptids. But this is one of the ones that we classify here on the Cryptid Hunters channel as a winged cryptid. And man, you gotta have big old wings to lift up a gigantic Bigfoot. Okay, so I would love to see one of these myself. To help me discuss this today, I do have our good friend Dr. Dennis Carroll here in the studio. Dennis has decades of experience in the paranormal. He is my resident expert on demonology, even on cryptids, UFOs, and everything, you name it, vampires and werewolves. And yes, he might actually be a werewolf. We discussed the Anderson werewolf last week when he joined us. That's in his hometown. Wink, wink. All right, Dennis. Please help me welcome to the show our good friend, Dr. Dennis Carroll. Hey, Dennis.
Hello. Great to be back here again. Definitely about the werewolf thing. I'm not confessing to anything, okay? But anyway, anyway, it's this is a very interesting subject you've picked out today. I've always wanted to go looking for the Batsquatch. It is a fascinating thing, definitely. And as a monster hunter, my own self from way back, it's one thing you got to watch out for the monsters while you're looking for them in the trees, in the woods, or whatever, wherever you're at. But you got to also watch out for them coming from the sky on you too, from dropping down from on high. So you have to kind of keep your, as you always say, your head on a swivel, definitely, especially looking up sometimes. That's the funny thing about that, Jessica. We, in the modern day society, we never look up that much, really. We don't look at the sky like we, once upon a time did. We usually got our head stuck in a phone or something like that. So anything could be flying around up there.
Yeah, that's right. And yeah, I just noticed my dog is snoring again. She likes to snore when I do my shows beside my feet. So I will be muting occasionally throughout the show today, so you guys don't have to hear Freya snorting at my feet. But yeah, you're right. We have enough to worry about out in the field, Dennis. And one of my team's, I guess I could say rule, or just kind of like a common thing that we do, is we look up when we're out there in the woods, because you just don't know what's up in the trees. We have to worry about big cats that might be hiding up there. We also now have to worry about maybe a winged Bigfoot. It just sounds absurd, but there are so many reports of this and firsthand encounters that we can't ignore it. Okay, this is something real, and at least I'm going to say like 10 people's realities. This is their reality. They have actually encountered these things. And I say things because they're not just in Washington. It's not just one. There have been multiple sightings all across North America and similar creatures across the globe, Dennis.
That's true. And where we're at, Jessica, the Southeast, we even have to worry about jaguars. We have jaguars out in the woods around here in a lot of these places. So, you always really got to keep your wit sharp when you're out there, no matter what you may run into. But the Batsquatch is very interesting because it, to me, it has some very supernatural attributes to it. And here's the other thing about it: did the eruption of Mount St. Helens release this thing? That's the interesting part about the Batsquatch. It has a lot of different rabbit holes attached to it.
It does. I don't know where I heard this the other day, but I was watching a video or reading an article talking about how UFOs have been seen coming out of active volcanoes. Okay, out of volcanoes. And I thought, man, that's an interesting place to have an ET base of some sort. Maybe it's an entrance to inner Earth. I mean, Batsquatch could potentially be some kind of inner Earth being. It seems as though they probably do come from inside the Earth. Caves, caverns, but this one was seen at Mount St. Helens. Now, Mount St. Helens erupted back in 1980. We covered that about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I believe, and there were reports of Sasquatches running down the mountain, getting help, seeking help from the park rangers out there and the National Guard. The National Guard actually going to, do the recovery efforts, and eyewitnesses saying there were piles of Sasquatch bodies piled up under tarps, and they were going into the different cave systems or the entrances to caves. They had one Sasquatch with the National Guard that was kind of helping the efforts to check on all the Sasquatches up there. It was pretty wild. But we did cover that a couple weeks ago. So we know that there's all sorts of cryptid activity up there. But this is when this creature started being seen, and it was actually, they said that it was flying through the, what do you call it, the soot, I guess, like all the soot that came out of the volcano. People were seeing it then. Almost, it reminded me kind of like a Mothman type of a deal, Dennis.
It does sound like it, and it's very interesting. That point you brought up, that a lot of this stuff is connected to caves and cave systems, and that's the UFOs and the volcanoes. The UFOs supposedly have been seen coming out of some of these volcanoes, and that's where Batsquatch was supposedly seen doing the same thing. Are these things coming from subterranean places? You have to wonder about that. I think a lot of our UFOs, I think that's where they originate at, underground. And it wouldn't surprise me if there are not creatures like Batsquatch underground as well, waiting, and they go out at night in different times. They're very nocturnal animals. We may not know this, very much like bats. Bats are that way. I have seen bats. As a matter of fact, I've seen some very scary situation with bats. It's a strange thing how they act. And they have that, built-in radar and all that stuff with them. So if you had something like the Batsquatch, it would be a very formidable predator, definitely. It would be something you would want to mess with. Absolutely. But I think a lot of this stuff may be attached to the cave systems and stuff. That's a good point. And a lot of the reports that came from out St. Helens, not just the Sasquatch, being sighted and being supposedly they airlifted some of them and so on. If something was released from that volcano, it wouldn't surprise me a bit if it wasn't something like Batsquatch.
No, it seems fitting, actually. It really does. And I wanted to go back to the description of what the Batsquatch looks like. And this is from eyewitness accounts. This is how they described it. It's a hulking beast said to have yellow eyes and a dog-like muzzle, blue fur, sharp teeth, bird-like feet, and leathery bat-like wings that span up to 50 feet, and it was around 9 feet tall. Okay, so I'm all into this, generating images on AI for my shows now. Okay, I started doing that a lot, and I've gotten some pretty interesting results. Sometimes they're weird, and sometimes they're fantastic. Okay.
That description definitely is really what you're describing is sort of like a monster bat. That's what it looks like. Bats have muzzles a little bit like some bats do, like the fox bat has a muzzle like a wolf or dog or anything, a little canine type thing. What you're describing sounds very much like some type of a monstrous bat. And it may have being much bigger and everything and bulkier. It may have an appearance of kind of a Sasquatch a little bit, the way it looks. Now, having seen Sasquatch myself, okay, face to face with him, I can tell you this about him. He's muscular, but he's not, it doesn't look like a bodybuilder, okay? It's not along those same lines because he's got a different set of muscles. He's got a different body set than from a human being. And we got to remember these things don't run along the lines of human anatomy. Especially like these bat-looking things, and so you have to pick out something in nature, Jessica, that is very close to what you're dealing with, and that would definitely be the bat, as connected with the Batsquatch, and of course that's why they call him the Batsquatch. But the squatch, the other squatch part of him is more of the bigger, bulkier thing, and having to have the hair and all that on him. That's where the Sasquatch thing comes in. But what you're describing is really just a monster bat.
Mm-hmm. A monster, gigantic, 9 foot tall bat person, humanoid. Okay, well, when I put it into the AI system, I got I put it in I put in the description exactly how it was described, and so people, you might be familiar with the thumbnail that I made for the show today. And I gotta say, let me take this comment down. I gotta say, it looks more like a kind of looked like a dogman. Okay. By the time AI got a hold of it, this was what the picture came out on my AI generation here. It looks kind of like a dogman bat. Now, I'm not saying this is what it is or anything, but you know that fox bat that you'd mentioned, Dennis. It does look kind of fox-like, right?
The fox bat. That's what I thought about when I first saw it.
Yeah. Well,
Fox.
when I put it into AI, that's what it turned out to look like. So it kind of looked like a dogman. I mean, who's to say they don't have different types of bat squatches? I know this is out there, right? Super out there. But when it comes down to us talking about Bigfoot, there's different types of Bigfoot and there's different types of dogmen too. I mean, why wouldn't there be a variety of bat squatches? I mean, could be.
Well, there are some very large bats in Indonesia. The fruit bats, especially. I mean, they are very large. I've seen in my lifetime. I've seen some big bats. And we're not supposed to have bats that size around here. Usually, the bats we have around here are like maybe 8, or maybe the biggest one might be around 10 or 12 inches in length. That's nothing compared to what some other bats are in the world, but nothing like a Batsquatch. That is a monster. That is a flying monster. If you look at it that way, I would not want to actually encounter that thing. Although I would love to look for it. I'd love to go hunt for it. But I don't know what you do if you found it or what it might do to you.
Oh yeah. Well, when I was doing a little research on this last night, I was seeing that there may have been reports back in the 1800s of creatures that did look similar to the Batsquatch. Okay, but I could not track down any kind of newspaper clippings of it or anything like that. But let's see. I think I do have a newspaper clipping right here of the Batsquatch, actually. Okay, it says talking about how a youth has a close encounter in the foothills, and I mean this is in the newspaper. Okay, newspaper articles, and people were taking it pretty seriously. Okay, and I'd mentioned that one of the first sightings, modern day sightings, in the past, what is this, 40, 50 years. Gosh, I'm getting old. Okay, that's just 1980. That was right after the eruption of Mount St. Helens. Okay, right around that time, and it wasn't until 1994 when they had the next sighting of it that it was actually reported. Okay, so in April of 1994, this is actually the most well-known sighting. Okay, and we'll go over this one. It was a gentleman named Brian Canfield. He was driving home one night through the backwoods of Pierce County, Washington. It says he was miles from civilization when suddenly his car froze in place. Now, Dennis, that sounds a lot like a UFO or ET type of encounter to me. When a UFO is in the environment, sometimes people's cars will shut down like that, and the battery, it loses all battery power and everything. So that happened to this fella. He said that. Yeah, go ahead.
Sounds very alien-like. People who've had alien encounters and encounters with UFOs have had that happen. The car batteries die, the car becomes immobilized. You gotta wonder when it comes to Sasquatch, what's that? And of course, this Batsquatch thing, if it has radar kind of like a bat, will that not interfere maybe with electrical systems or what? You have to wonder about that. Or is this some type of an alien thing or what? Doing this kind of thing to electronics. It's very strange unless the only other thing I know besides supposedly alien interference like that would be a supernatural type interference that would do that with electronics. That's a very strange part of the Batsquatch.
Oh yeah, there's an X factor to it. Okay, that's what we like to call an X factor over in my team. So, okay, so he tried to get his truck to restart. He tried with all of his might, it said, and but it refused to start. He was on the verge of getting out to take a closer look to his truck when something swooped across his headlights. At first, he assumed it must have been some large bird. His hand was on the door handle when the monster landed on the vehicle's hood. Oh my gosh. He described the creature as standing 9 feet tall with a bat's face and wings attached to a blue furred humanoid body. He noted the large fangs in the creature's mouth and the glowing red eyes. And I'm going to quote exactly what he said. Okay, this is exactly what he said. It was standing there staring at me like it was resting, like it didn't know what to think. I was scared. It raised the hair on me. I didn't feel threatened. I just felt out of place. It's looking right at me in a deep stare, like right through me. It's standing perfectly still. It stood for how long? A few minutes? Several minutes. And then its fingers twitched and its wings began to unfold. Those wings were as wide as the road. It turned its head and it looked back at me and it started flapping its wings. Oh my God. A few minutes later, the truck just started. I took off as fast as I could. Okay, that would be terrifying. And let me tell you, 2 seconds feels like 5 minutes when you got something like that in front of you. So hopefully he wasn't actually there for a few minutes. Hopefully it was just a few seconds. But he said it was a few minutes, Dennis. And it just sounds something out of a horror movie, some kind of really scary movie that I would watch when I was, 8 years old at my grandparents' house late at night because they had cable. All right. That's what it sounds like.
That's kind of like, and I'll be including this in my book that I'm writing now called the Paracryptidology, the study of monsters and things of nightmare. And this is a thing of nightmare. Okay, definitely. This is something like somebody's nightmare. And the description is being like having 50 feet wingspan. That's even bigger than a small Cessna airplane, folks. Okay, that is big. And of course, you're gonna have to have a big set of wings or something like a Batsquatch to lift it up off the ground. Definitely. And this thing towers above Mothman. The description of Mothman is so much different from that. He's smaller, definitely, than 50 foot. That is amazing to think about. The wings that stretch all the way across the road, with Batsquatch. But Mothman, although having wings, I mean, he's not as big as this guy would be. Mothman is never described in a Sasquatchy kind of way. He's always described more or less like, humanoid looking, in many ways. More humanoid looking. But this thing, the Batsquatch, it's got to be a nightmare. Like I said, it's just a monster, a definite definition of a monster type of thing. If you want to look at it that way, be blunt about it, that's what it is. And to me, like I said, where did this thing come from? What is this origin? That's what I always like to look at whenever you're tracing anything like this, whether it's UFOs, monsters, whatever the situation. Go back and look at the origin, and where did something like this come from? Did it come out of the subterranean caves? Was it something? I'm not going to say it was released, but maybe it was kind of driven out by the volcano itself, and that's why it came out of around Mount St. Helens. But it's interesting where its location is at many times when it's described. Very close to mountains and mountain ranges. And as you well know, Jessica, you and I both having been in caves and everything, that's where you find the cave systems near the mountains. Mm-hmm. Definitely. To me, it all ties in. It's connected, definitely.
There are. And of course, we also can factor in strange hybrid, cryptid experiments, chimera experiments that go on in some of these secret facilities, but maybe even at these deep underground military bases. I mean, it could be a factor as well, because it does seem like some kind of strange chimera, if you ask me. And Maureen, thank you so much for that super sticker. I appreciate that from you and Gus. Thank you.
Well, you can see somebody sitting around somewhere in an underground lab saying, what would we do if we could put wings on a Sasquatch or something? That's what you would come up with, something very much like that. It would not surprise me a bit if it wasn't part of a hybrid program, definitely. And I think there's a lot of secret hybrid type stuff going on and still ongoing in the world today. They're never going to quit bothering with that because it's so fascinating stuff anyway, that you can take different species and put them together and all this stuff. And also you can cross them with man as well. And here's another thing we need to look at when you look at Batsquatch, things like that. You know, could they be alien things from another dimension of some sort? You know, could these things have come through some type of portal into our world, or were they released here on purpose in our world for a reason by certain other entities out there? You got to wonder about that too.
You do. We've got a wonderful audience today. Great chat going on today. Y'all are funny. I've seen some of these comments. I'm trying not to laugh at that. But yes, even Skip says feels like the mosquitoes around here are that big actually. Yes, I've dealt with the biggest mosquitoes I've ever experienced were in Illinois actually. Okay, you can ask Barry Littleton about that. I still have scars on my legs from those. Okay, but yeah, it's the sightings did not stop after 1994. Actually, within 4 years there were more sightings of the Batsquatch. So they did slow down though. Not a whole lot of reports came in after the 1994 incident with this young fella, because he said that the Batsquatch just disappeared. Okay, it flew off and it disappeared. It wasn't seen again. But so often cryptids are seen like that, where they kind of come into our reality and then they leave. Okay, and they don't show back up for a long time. And I think it was, let's see, is it Mike? Mike said that it's an anomaly. There's only one. Well, there could be. Okay, it could be, but these have been sighted all over the place. Actually, not just in Washington. And so, in 1998, an anonymous trucker was hauling logs in northern Oregon and claimed, which is right by Washington, by the way. Okay, but he claimed to have hit Batsquatch. The trucker contrasted Canfield's original account by describing the creature as 15 feet tall. 15 feet tall. Good Lord. With a purple nose and eyes and tiny wings. Okay. Let's see. In 2009, a group of hikers were making their way up Mount Shasta, that's in Washington, when they reported seeing a flying humanoid creature with bat-like features. They described what they saw as a man stocky as Hulk Hogan with leathery wings, 15 feet from one end to the other, and the face of a bat. So that's in 1998, and that's the first one's 1998, and then 2009. Okay. Those are two totally different descriptions, but they're also very similar. And now this picture actually, my AI spit out another interesting picture too. And it looked like that dog, it looked like a Dogman with little tiny wings. And that's kind of, and I'm not saying it was like a Dogman, but it looked kind of like one. According to that last report from those hikers. And this is what the AI gave me, the last picture that I put out there. And that kind of looks like one of those fox bats that you were talking about, Dennis, in the face.
Definitely does look a lot like that, but it also looks like Dogman too.
It
bulky
does.
part, that's what makes it, I think, look more like Dogman. I was going to tell everybody out there today, though, that the mosquitoes in my neighborhood carry switchblades. Okay. Anyway, the interesting thing about all this, Jessica, what I said earlier, could it be some of these things are coming from other dimensions? This is weird stuff. I don't even see them getting this weird in the hybrid thing. You know what I mean? This is very strange. We gotta also not rule out the Napa Valley rebobs. Remember those?
No, what is that?
Flying monkeys. Okay. They were like flying monkeys. Okay. You got some different stuff flying around here, not just Batsquatch. That's very strange, I don't think the rebobs wear the little costumes, but they definitely are supposed to be, and they're supposed to be escaped government experiments. Okay. And I could see the government doing something like that with monkeys. Definitely. Monkeys and certain other animals, unfortunately, even dogs, are used in experiments, scientific experiments. Oh, and bats are too, by the way. Bats are used in a lot of them You know why? Because they are warm-blooded mammals. The only mammals that have what, Jessica? Wings.
Okay. Am I for some reason I'm feeling like bats might be marsupials too. Are they marsupials? I feel like they are. Maybe not. But I mean, I remember back when the whole pandemic happened and bats were being blamed for that too. Remember that? Bats in the lab. And then I saw a quarter that came out in 2020. One of our U.S. Mint put out a quarter that had bats on it that same year. That was weird. Okay, no coincidences there. But anyways,
the bad thing about that, what if you inject these things with bad stuff and they get away from you? They can fly off and be gone. I mean, recently we had all those monkeys escape in South Carolina here from a lab. Okay, you wouldn't think that could have happened. I'm even talking about a truckload of monkeys, folks. They got out. What if some of these things have been infected with some bad stuff? You never know. Here's the bad thing about it, though. It really bothers me, experimenting on animals. Okay. Do you think they might draw the line on that with human beings? I don't think so. Knowing what I know from these guys, nothing is on the table for them. Nothing is.
That's right. Okay. And I want to remind the audience that I was given a coordinate remote viewing target about a year or two ago, and it was the Chupacabra. And it was the Chupacabra based out of 1994, same exact year that this young gentleman had the encounter with the Batsquatch, where his car stopped working. That was 1994. And the same exact year, there was a hurricane that hit Puerto Rico. A lab got hit by this hurricane. And the rumor was that some people, whistleblowers, let's just say, said that some chupacabras, these like chimeras that they had been keeping at that lab, escaped. And all these goats started showing up in Puerto Rico with their blood sucked dry. Their bodies had no blood in them. And these little creatures were seen running around. It was freaking everybody out. And Barry gave me that as a remote viewing target. It was a blind target. And I was picking up on chimeras, something that was a marsupial or a mammal, like a kangaroo, and a reptile too. And with dinosaur DNA. And it turns out that that's the exact same kind of data that another remote viewing group got on the same exact incident. And so comparing my data to theirs, it's spot on. So we know that this was some sort of government funded lab. Okay. From what I've been told now, some kind of government experiment going on with like hybrid, even maybe ETs or dinosaurs. And I mean, maybe it had a little bat in it. I don't know. Because it said it was a marsupial, if bats are marsupials. But that happened the same year, Dennis. And so that's why I just wanted to bring that up. I know that was in Puerto Rico, and this is all the way in Washington, but who says that they're not doing experiments in labs all over the country, all over the world?
Well, of course, Puerto Rico is the epicenter for the Chupacabra. The Chupacabra has been described. Some of them descriptions sometimes for the Chupacabra has it having wings. And some other descriptions of it makes it very reptilian looking. Okay. They talk about a crest on his head, sort of like a dinosaur type thing. And we're talking small there. Okay. Not big, not like a big giant dinosaur, but something very small, like a very small raptor or something like that. But there have been descriptions of Chupacabra having wings, very much like bat wings. So there you go. If this is some type of experiment that got away or what. And this is very prevalent in Puerto Rico and in parts of Mexico and South America as well. What's going on with that? The Chupacabra is fascinating too. Very much like the Batsquatch.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that would, okay, if I had to take a guess, and I have never remote viewed any of this here, okay, not that I know of at least. If I had to take a wild guess, I would say that whatever this is probably could very well be, considering the year. I don't know, because I mean, they say they go back farther. Of course, there's the 1980 Batsquatch, but they've been doing experiments. I mean, we talked about the Billywhack monster out of California. That was in the 1920s. where there was a gentleman that was working for what's the equivalent of the CIA today, was working under a dairy farm making chimeras, animal human chimeras, goat men, probably, right? And so we know that this has been going on for a long time. I would think this is my gut. I think that maybe these things are a chimera, lab like made by humans. So that's what I think. But then again, I don't know. What do you think, Dennis? If you had to take a wild guess.
Well, thinking about the Chupacabra being more like a vampire type thing because it goes after blood,
Oh yeah.
I just have to wonder about, the Batsquatch. Would it go after something like blood or something like that, Or would it be more carnivorous and that was the same? You have to wonder about it, what its habits would be on something like that. But yeah, I agree with you 100%. A lot of this stuff sounds like government experimentation, or
Mm-hmm.
like the chimera thing you're talking about with the chimeras and all that. That just falls in line with what we've heard so many years over the years about all this stuff that's government experiment and not only are they doing that with just the animals, like I said earlier, they're experimenting with portals and stuff. And when you open a doorway, Jessica, to whatever dimension it is you were messing around with, anything could come. I'm talking about anything, folks, can come through that portal. Okay. And that wouldn't surprise me if some creatures like this didn't come through. And this is supposedly what happened with the Mothman, with the incidents in O'Hara Airport. The O'Hara Airport incident of the Mothman is fascinating. Even some witches up there claim to have opened the doorway and let this thing out. Opened one of the doors of hell and turned it loose. That's interesting to think about. Have we experimented with some of this stuff? Are we the cause for some things like this coming out? And then I think that we definitely have a smoking gun there in that direction.
We do. Okay. Well, that just opened up a whole can of worms for me because you mentioned the portal, and I mentioned the UFOs being seen coming out of the volcano. I'm thinking Mel's Hole as well. I know it doesn't have anything to do with Mel's Hole, right? But it's a hole in the ground. What's a volcano? Like what's in the middle of that volcano there? Okay. And I do believe that Mel's Hole, after we did that remote viewing target, Tanya, my friend Tanya and I both did those blind targets for Barry. And we did the show on it, and we were both picking up on some kind of like wormhole, teleportation, time travel, radiation. All this stuff was going on with Mel's Hole. It's just a hole in the ground, an endless hole that the government confiscated that property from Mel. And it's all based off of him calling into Art Bell show. Okay, everybody, in case you're not familiar with Mel's Hole, it's on my playlist. Y'all go and watch it. Remote viewing playlist. It's fantastic. Okay, so but anyways, I'm thinking, what if there's a portal in that volcano? Okay, what if that holds some sort of a portal? And yeah, that is why these things are coming through.
Volcanoes have a lot of power behind them. They release a lot of energy when you think about it. Okay, it's like a lightning bolt, and you do see lightning around volcanoes when they explode. We do know that there's some kind of electrical thing going on here. Okay, absolutely. And it wouldn't surprise me if that wouldn't open some type of a portal, some type of a doorway for these things. And I have to wonder, Jessica, and I have wondered this for many years. And it still bothers me in my mind. How many of these cryptids that we're looking for are not off-world things? They don't really belong here. That even includes Dogman to a certain extent. Some of these things are not in our nature. They're not nature bred. They're not even what you could call mutants of nature. Okay, in that respect. Some of this stuff, just like the Batsquatch, is so far out. I have to wonder if it's kind of off-world stuff. It's definitely from some other place. That's all I can say. And when you have this volcanic activity, even earthquake activity can do this as well. And looking out in the western part of the United States, they got that definite problem out there. Absolutely, earthquakes, volcanoes, and all that. especially around mountains like Mount Shasta and all this other thing. You have to wonder, if doorways are not definitely being opened to these things.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, for sure. We know doorways are getting open all the time, and we got all these little, what is it, like the CERN, the Large Hadron Colliders? I know there's that one in Switzerland or Sweden. Is it Switzerland? Is it CERN? But they work in conjunction with that, the Alice Project, the Large Ion Collider in Oak Ridge Labs in East Tennessee. So we know there's one there too. I've been told there's a bunch of them all over the North America. So they may be opening up portals and stuff. I mean, who knows? It's wild. Now, I do want to go back. I mentioned that there was some hikers at Mount Shasta. I think I said that was in Washington. That was actually in California. I know. I don't know if anybody in the chat saw that or made a note, but I just remembered that I said that, and that was a mistake. So that was in California. Okay, so we got Washington, Oregon, and California so far here. Now in June of 2011, I'm not done with all the sightings yet. We've got more, y'all. But wait, there's more. In June of 2011, Phoenix, there's a guy named Phoenix. I don't know if it's a guy or a woman. It was he. He was in his yard walking his dog. He went to pick up his dog, and he looked up and he said the following. He said, "I saw something flying in the sky. It had bat wings, blue fur, and had a face similar to eyes glowing red. It was about 9 feet tall at least. After I watched it, it just flew away." Okay, so that's in 2011. All right, so we're still getting sightings, and let's see. It doesn't even say where this was, though. All right, maybe it doesn't say his location. In April 14th of 2014, Archbishop Hoban High School, this is at a high school in Akron, Ohio, a second period Spanish class spotted a giant black mass zip by the window of their classroom at an incredible speed. The class claims that it was 9 feet tall with a 20 to 30 foot wingspan. All right, 2014. That was the last time. That was the year my son was born. So that was 10 years ago, 11 years ago now. Almost 11 years, a couple months. Wow. Okay, so they're still getting sightings, Dennis, and but who's to say that wasn't a Mothman or something? Okay, but Mothman usually shows up when something bad's about to happen, though, right, Dennis?
Here's the interesting thing about Mothman, Batsquatch, and other things like that. They're seen all over the world. I mean, and they're falling into that category is Owlman too. Looks very much like an owl. And I think the reason they call it the owl is it has the big eyes, like the big eyes, and that's what stands out on it. But anyway, you've got that in England, in parts of the UK where they're having Owlman sightings. They got Owlman, we got Mothman, but these things are seen all over the world. I was thinking about, while you were talking about Arizona, it's Batsquatch has been seen in Texas. The very, very famous one was the Bat Boy, which was a big star in the National Enquirer. I don't know if a lot of people are familiar with the National Enquirer. I think you probably remember that, Jessica. It always sold in the supermarkets. They always had some very outlandish stuff going on with it. And Batsquatch was one of their favorite things, along with Bat Boy. They would talk about people seeing these things. But and like you said, some of these newspaper clippings that go way back, I think this goes back even further than some of that. Look at some of the reports that have come out of Texas and New Mexico and places like that of cowboys shooting things sort of like this, or shooting at things, or reporting things attacking cattle like this. I've heard several incidents of that, of cattle attacks. That's interesting when you look at it too. This thing's got to eat something. If it's that big and and that active, it's got to eat something. And I don't think it's eating cherries off the tree. Okay, I think it's eating something other than that. I think it's definitely, something on hooves would be fast food for it, definitely. But to me, you got a lot of clues to this. This is not just. It's not just Mount St. Helens. I think it goes a lot further and a lot wider area than that, definitely. And by the way, this thing has also been sighted in I think some of the swamps in Florida where it's been sighted. I think around areas like that. Um, but the bat
Wow.
wings, always give it away supposedly. But this is strange stuff, and like I said, it's like it's so far off, full, out of this world kind of stuff. It makes you wonder about it. But the attribute of it being able to interfere with electronics is very, I'm going to say this too, it's kind of demonic sounding. And take another quick look at Batsquatch. What else does he look like? What else does he resemble? He looks like a gargoyle.
He does.
Think about
Yeah,
it.
gargoyles are fascinating. I had a friend who we used to call him the gargoyle. Okay, he was in the military, and he would go to certain events and go stand on top of buildings to do security and stuff, and it was pretty cool. We call him a gargoyle. Okay, and but anyways, I have a little gargoyle in my office, and I call that it's in memorial of my friend. Okay, because he's passed away now. But anyways, I love gargoyles. Now, what is the history behind gargoyles, Dennis? Because I know that from what I understand, gargoyles actually used to guard the house of witches at night when they would sleep. Is that right?
Well, basically, a gargoyle is a demon with wings. That's basically what it is. And of course, they are gutter spouts on the large cathedrals and stuff because they were put there to kind of try to trick and fool the other demons into believing there were already some demons there. But these things are supposedly guardian demons that can be called up out of witchcraft as well to do certain things. And I was just thinking, if you walked up on Batsquatch crouched on top of a building and not moving, you would think you were looking at a gargoyle. You definitely would. And that is the definite description. Some of these now the gargoyles are depicted a lot differently facial wise. But you have some that look very much like that right there. Look very much like a Batsquatch. You know, they would take it for that. And some of them have bird-like features. Some of them have very monstrous-like features, and some of them have bat-like features. So there you go. This is a perfect example of a flying gargoyle type thing. But the gargoyle basically is demonic. And if you want to call something like that, demons definitely can interfere with electronics. So that had happened to me many, many times. I think you have even experienced that, Jessica. You get on certain subjects, especially about the demonic thing, weird things happen electronically. And that's weird things going on with Batsquatch electronically. Makes me wonder about that, definitely.
Mm-hmm. It does. Well, to me, a lot of times we're having ET type of activity, especially out in the field, too. The electronics go haywire. Okay, they go haywire. That's when we get the missing time. Okay, like when my equipment malfunctioned and mine went forward an hour and my partner's went backwards an hour, or vice versa. I can never remember which it was, but our time changed on our equipment and things. I mean, we've had times where, like, shout out to Glenn. What's up, Glenn Jackson? He's out there and his cell phone started going haywire out in the field, and it reset to like 1952 or 1954. Okay,
Well,
it was weird.
during
Yeah.
paranormal investigations I have had, much of my own stuff, I can tell you this personally, what's happened to me. I've slapped a battery pack in certain things that come, I'm going to take it out of the pack, brand new, okay? Slap it in a piece of equipment, walk in a house, and it would drain immediately. So
Uh-oh.
I think a lot of these things, like Batsquatch that we're talking about, and some other cryptids too, maybe getting energy from this kind of stuff. Maybe they're energizing themselves off of this, You never know. And you have to wonder if maybe, that's some part of it. And it could be they could get energy not just from electrical things, but also from living things as well. That includes you and me. They could tap into that kind of energy as well. And we do know that certain entities in our universe, and I've talked with Barry Littleton about this a lot. Certain entities in our universe feed off of that negativity that they could produce in us, the fear they can produce in us. They definitely, and if you walked up on something like Batsquatch, if you didn't emit a little fear, you definitely wouldn't be human. Okay.
Yeah.
And that would definitely be and something like a gargoyle. If you come upon a gargoyle, a living gargoyle, uh, it would definitely have, I think, that attribute of taking some of your fear from you, feeding off of it. It wouldn't surprise me a bit because of the very
Mhm.
demonic nature of this thing, you know?
Oh yeah. Yes, for sure. And they are, there's actually a haunted location. That place I always talk about up here in North Georgia, Corpsewood Manor. When you go up there, I think it's gone today. Somebody has taken it from the
Hmm.
location. There used to have a gargoyle. It was actually pink. So odd. They had a pink gargoyle. It may have been like pink marble, maybe, but it was pink and it guarded the top. It was on top of their house, on top of the foyer, I guess, or the foyer. Okay. Um, it's this haunted castle in the woods. It's called their castle in the woods or whatever. A lot of satanic stuff went down there, and homicides, and it's a bad juju type of place out there, with lots of cryptid activity. But they have a big gargoyle out there.
You can't see it right now, but sitting right across from me in my museum here, I have a very large gargoyle, okay, almost life size, and it looks very demonic. Okay, definitely, I could see something like that being on a place where they worship Satan and all that kind of stuff. Definitely, it wouldn't surprise me a bit.
Hmm.
But the interesting thing about gargoyles is that he's looking at me now. The interesting
Uh
thing
oh.
about gargoyles is that if they truly exist, here's the weird thing about it: they can look like a statue, and supposedly by nightfall they come alive and start moving, walk around. And we have seen supposedly pictures and video of other statues doing this kind of stuff in graveyards and cemeteries. That's an interesting factor too. To me, I'm gonna tell you something else too. That really ties into this. Are people being haunted by these things? They're being followed home by some of these things, and they see them in their yard around their houses. That sounds very much like a demonic attachment too. You know?
It does. Well, they do come to life at night, Dennis. Okay, that's a lot of the lore behind them is they will come to life at night. They as soon as the sun goes down, they start flying around and around the house. They guard the property and inside and outside of your house. And then at night, as soon as the sun comes up, they go back to their perch and they freeze. Okay, they become petrified once again, like limestone, which is interesting too. And man, I could go down a rabbit hole on that one probably with the petrified giants and the ET
That's
technology.
it's sort of like a vampire that come out at night and sunset
Yes.
kind of a thing. And it even being these things are associated with bats to a certain extent makes you wonder about the vampire connection, definitely on that. But to me, I think the most fascinating thing about gargoyles and stuff like that is that they're supposed to be guardians. But what kind of guardians? Usually, are they really the good kind of guardians or the bad kind of guardians, kind of type of thing? You know, that's the question
Hmm.
about them. Are they good or bad? Or are they predominantly bad? Would have to be if they had some type of demonic connection to them. They're not going to be good. But there is a section of old witchcraft that says that these gargoyles can be brought forth very much like guardian demons, guardians for areas, and for that's why you find them on houses and stuff like that. Supposedly, they're supposed to be the watchdogs of the demon world, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's like what Moondog Davis just said. Gargoyles remind me of Tengu or Onus in Japan. They can be called guardians or dangerous. Yeah. I like to think my gargoyle's protecting me. Okay. But I'm no witch. Okay, I'm not setting them out there at night and stuff. But it is kind of cool to have. And one day I'm just like, there's a couple people in the chat that said they want to have, or there's a house. Somebody said there's a house near them that has gargoyles out front. Listen, I'm going to have gargoyles out front of my house too. Okay, and yes, you might see them flying around my house at night with my werewolf security detail out there with them too one day. There will be signs. Okay, when I strike it rich one day, y'all, there will be signs. I'm just kidding.
Somebody come see you at night and say, "Where's your gargoyles at?" Oh, they're out flying around right now, so they'll be back.
They're just hanging out with my werewolf security detail.
Yeah,
I know I laugh, but it will be cool.
Perfect cat for the werewolf thing.
Yeah. Barry's in the chat. Hey, Barry. Barry Littleton's here. He says, he's so right. Some feed on fear and use the energy to stay manifested. That's that loosh we talk about, Barry. Use that loosh to stay afloat, I guess. That's wild. Yeah. Well, they do, I don't know why I just got that picture of like Monsters Inc. That was weird. Something just fell across my room. There's that movie cartoon. It's called Monsters Inc. And I guess they go in and they scare kids at night and they build up that loosh. You know what I mean? And that powers their town or something. It powers their facility. All of that energy, and that kind of reminds me of that. Yeah, our life force energy is a very valuable resource, by the way, everybody. If y'all didn't already know that. So protect it at all costs and protect your children's at all costs as well. Here we go. Leah's in the chat, says freaking parasite entities take blood, body and chi energy plus negative emotional energy. Exactly. Yes, that's just what I was saying. Love that.
A lot of reports about these so-called energy vampires and stuff like that, but I think there are certain other people, that's one we've talked about that before. I won't get into it today, but about keep maintaining that spiritual barrier that you have, against these type of things. And I'm gonna relate to you one day a story about how I learned the hard way about how shaking hands with the wrong people. You got to be very careful what you allow touching you in this world, because some of this stuff is bad. Okay, it's bad juju, folks. It's out for bad things, and they like to do bad things. They can just pick you out randomly to do it. I mean, it cannot be just an enemy of yours out the gates. You could be somebody. That's just the way they are. They like to pick out targets, and you have to be very careful what you allow. What you allow inside of yourself circle of energy there, whatever you want to call it, because if they start tapping into they can tap into your energy and drain you like the parasite he's talking about, but they can also do it in reverse and give you the bad energy if they want to. That's an attack. That's a spiritual attack, and you have to wonder about a lot of these creatures, Jessica. They have a spiritual attribute to them, just like we have a spirit. They have a spirit, but it may not be a light spirit. It may be a dark spirit to it, in that respect. So you gotta weigh that against what you're dealing with,
You do. And I wanted to ask you this today, Dennis, because we've had a couple of people in the chat say that I guess, I don't know if it's like Mothman. Some of these things we're talking about today have connections to the Fae, potentially, okay, with their wings. Prophet Pre says gargoyles are like giant fairies, okay? They're like giant fairies. Could there be some sort of connection to like the elementals and these cryptids with wings?
Things have been tagged that way by certain peoples like the Irish and the Scottish and Celtic and Welsh people, that they may have run into these kind of cryptids and stuff like that, or demonic entities. They want to definitely tag them as being Fae, okay? Because that's the way they looked at things. It was the Fae to them were an answer of the magical part of this world. The more of the unseen things, the more all that. I think that was their way of describing these things, the Fae. It was a broad blanket over a lot of this stuff that they couldn't understand. I'd have to wonder how many cryptids might have pulled in it, because there's so many stories I mean, like the Durgu and so many of these other things, and the Irish Parthenon on these things. You have to wonder, what was cryptid and what was not. But uh, I can see them tagging it that way. That's just the way they looked at things, and that's why they would be called the fairies or the fae and all these other things. When you think about fairies, you don't just have one certain entity. There's 1,000 entities that fall under that umbrella of the word fairy or the fae. That's what fairy stands for, the fae. Um, and it just means the magical, hidden things, the properties of this world, that exist. But it's fascinating when you look at it, how it is all definitely connected. Absolutely.
It is. Yes, my security detail. That's right, Andrew. Um, well, and some people in the chat are saying, well, not only can angels protect us, but also some people are protected by lower vibrational entities and the darker
Well,
side of the energetics, right?
in Irish mythology, the werewolf is a guardian. By the way, they have werewolves in Ireland.
Yeah.
Yes, they do, and they are guardians, more or less. They even guard children, so they're looked upon sort of like a guardian angel in wolf form. Okay, I'll put it that way.
Oh my gosh. Third Eye Tribe. That's an interesting comment here. It's like owls. They used to ward off pigeons. Yeah, you put an owl on top of your house, one of those plastic owls.
Mm-hmm.
We used to have one on top of my house. You see them on top of shopping centers a lot of times. But yeah, I like all birds. Listen, I feed the birds every day now. Okay, I have a whole yard full of birds now. When you go outside, it's like a symphony of birds, and I love it.
saw a cartoon once, Jessica, of a gargoyle actually was on the top of a building, and you shoot off the pigeons, you scared them off with a wing. Get out of here.
Oh yeah.
Kind of thing. And so that would be a handy thing for the gargoyles to do. Keep the pigeons off your house.
Oh yeah. No, I love all the animals except for, if you got like nuisance birds that are, some people don't like their house getting pooped on, all that kind of stuff. I don't know. Or they're building nests and messing up their wiring in their home or something. I don't know. Maybe that's squirrels. I don't know. I don't know why anybody wouldn't like birds. But
seagulls are very bad about that. Seagulls bomb dive you very good. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Thank goodness I don't live near seagulls. Okay, I don't. I'm up in Georgia. Not on the coast either. I'm like on the other side of the state. But
I don't either. But have you noticed some hanging out at shopping centers and Walmarts? They do that around here where I live. We have seagulls, and we're like maybe 200 miles from the ocean, but we've got seagulls around here, and they hang out in the parking lots. Yeah. Now I think they may also we have very large Lake Hartwell nearby. A man-made lake we talked about. Maybe they're attracted to that or something like that. I don't know. Strange.
Oh my gosh. Wow, that is strange because Lake Hartwell is right there on the border of Georgia and South Carolina. That's not really near the ocean. Mm-hmm. So very interesting stuff, but I don't know. Well, have you ever seen a Batsquatch out there? I don't guess you've seen a Batsquatch out there in Anderson. You just have a very famous werewolf from your area, but no Batsquatches yet, I guess, right?
Yeah, I would invite Batsquatch to come in. He might as well. We have a lot of very interesting things here. Not just werewolves. We got some other that doesn't include me, but we got some very interesting stuff here, definitely. But it's very strange that things that fly like that. All around the world, you have so many different properties on these things. You have the large bats in the Indonesia. Some of them are almost, Jessica, what you would say. I would say the size of small children. That's big. Mm-hmm. And these things can carry off small children. They're big enough to do that. Actually, eagles can do the same thing. Anything that flies like that, is very strong in strength, and the strength is in its legs mostly because of the way it perches and all that stuff. Birds of prey are that way, So not just the Batsquatch would be muscular, but all birds of prey are usually pretty muscular birds. They have to be because they use their legs and stuff and claws and all that a lot for survival. Not just flying around. They have to eat too, and so they do go after prey. And I have actually seen them pick up dogs, small dogs, and cats. That's amazing
Ooh.
to think about. So if something like Batsquatch were to fly over, he could easily get you, snatch you up, and take you off. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Skip Basford or Basford. You're gonna have to tell me how to pronounce your last name. Thank you so much for that super sticker. I appreciate that. He says, "Great show today, Jess and Dennis. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you very much." Well, I wanted to go over a couple of other, winged cryptids before we go today, and the only one I can really think of right now, we've already covered Mothman and the flying monkeys. Okay, little flying monkey devil monkeys. But we also have the Jersey Devil. Okay, the Jersey Devil's a big one too, right? And that actually has some almost like occult background to it, because the story behind that, from what I can recall, is like the mother cursed her own child, right, Dennis?
And don't forget the snallygaster flies too. It has
Oh, it
wings.
does.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
don't forget dragons. They have wings. People are seeing flying dragons. They have actually reported seeing those. You've got a lot of things flying around out there, definitely. And the interesting thing about it is, with the flying monkeys, I mentioned them earlier, the Napa Valley rebobs. That has been supposedly reported in other parts of the world as well. These flying monkey things. Now that right there is a rendition of the Jersey Devil. Uh, that supposedly fly has bat wings. But listen to this interesting connection. Okay, there are many demons in demonology who have wings. By the way, bat wings, just like that. And that is a very similar rendition of what a demon would look like in that way. So it's the Jersey Devil being cursed by the devil, supposedly, would not be 99.9% demon. Think about it. It's very interesting.
You know what I think of when I see not only the Jersey Devil, this picture of one, but a Batsquatch too. I'm thinking of a pterodactyl and a pterosaur. Now we have a lot of sightings of those all over North America, and they have bat wings that looks like a bat wing as well. And so I don't know. I'm not saying they're all getting
Well,
mixed
their
up.
wings, their wings would be very similar to bat type wings. And like I mentioned earlier, the reports of cowboys out west shooting some of these things. There's a very famous photograph, supposedly, of them holding up something very much like a pterodactyl that was shot. Now, a lot of these photographs you see are hoaxes, but this is supposed to be based on the real thing, okay, that actually supposedly happened. And they were supposedly took a true photograph, and the photograph has been lost or something. But these are usually recreations of that photo. But it has a beginning to it. Like we say, like my favorite quote: "Every myth and legend known to mankind is not without its authentic foundation. Somewhere this began." And that goes along with the Jersey Devil. Where did that really truly begin? Was it a curse that somebody uttered and something bad happened? Well, I mean, you got to wonder what the origin of these things is, to give you a better picture of what you're dealing with.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, we're living in strange times right now, amazing times. I am so happy to be alive and to experience all of this. And yeah, it's a lot of people in the chat are saying Thunderbird as well, or pterodactyls, thunderbirds, pterosaurs. Is that what thunderbirds could be? It could be. I don't know. I mean, what if the Jersey Devil is a thunderbird? Okay, we don't know how long these things have been around. We've got reports going all the way. I don't know how long, how way back reports go of the Jersey Devil, but some say bat squatch like creatures were seen in the 1800s here in the United States. Okay, so we really just don't know. We really don't know, and I don't think anybody's got all the answers. definitely no expert. I am the cryptid huntress. I know a little bit about this stuff because I do my research and I've experienced some of it, but I've not experienced a winged cryptid yet. Bigfoot dwarf, what's up? He says, I thought Jersey Devil was more of a Bigfoot type creature. Well, you know what? I gotta. What do you say to that?
The Jersey Devil and the Batsquatch have a whole lot in common in description wise, if you look at it, because the Batsquatch having the muzzle-like thing, and also so does the Jersey Devil. He has a sort of a face like that, supposedly as well, and the bat wings that goes along with it too. Although the thing about the Batsquatch is he's described as being very muscular, very big, 9 feet tall, kind of a thing. That's pretty big. And it would take a big set of wings to pick up something like that, definitely. I don't see him being 50 foot as some describe, but it would be a very large set, definitely. And it would probably go across the road, depending on the size of the road, of course. It would probably go across the road. Something like that would be very monstrous to see. And if I were in New Jersey, I might think it might be the Jersey Devil that I was looking at because they look so similar,
Mm-hmm. They do. And yeah, and if you would like to, and I'm not advertising for this company, okay, and I'm not sponsored by them, but there is a beer. I do like to have me a cold beer every now and then at a night, like a Belgian triple or something. Okay, I like the fancy stuff. But you can get you a Batsquatch beer, y'all. Okay. Gotta just go to your local convenience store, go get you a Rogue Batsquatch. Okay. I think it's like an Indian Pale Ale or something. That's not my cup of tea, so I wouldn't drink it, but I'd try it just because it's a Batsquatch. Okay, I'd try it. So yeah, I don't know. This has been a great show today, Dennis, and I've really enjoyed this. And I think we've made some really good connections with the gargoyles, the Mothman. I forgot to pull this picture up today. I was going to show these are supposed to be some pictures of Mothman flying right there. I don't know if those are real or what, but making these connections is key. I also I don't know if Barry had sent me this or I had this before, but we've also got winged reptilians as well. Okay. I think it's like the alpha draconians potentially have wings as well. So
it's kind of a relation when you look at it to dragons,
It is.
Definitely. There have been some reptilians reported as having wings as well. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But you have to wonder, be careful out there. Watch where you're going because not only birds are flying around up there, who knows what else is.
Who knows what's flying up there? And yeah, keep your eye to the sky. As long as we don't have that really funky fog out there, we could probably see them pretty well. But yeah, just keep your eyes out, y'all. And yeah, I hope everybody learned a little something today and enjoyed the show as much as I did. I know me and Dennis enjoyed it. And I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. And Dennis, thank you so much for being here with me today. You always make the shows way more exciting and more interesting, for sure.
It's always a pleasure. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you.
We have some very interesting discussions.
Oh, we do. Well, we like to turn things upside down and look at it from every angle, and to connect those dots. And yeah. So Dennis, you have a show tonight. Tell the audience about your YouTube channel and your Patreon, and what you got going on your channel, Hunting the Shadows.
Yeah, well, I had a very interesting show Monday with my good friend Carroll Fountain. We did on the road less traveled. We did Conjured Cryptids. So if you missed that, you might want to go back and check it out. It was a great show. Tonight on Hunting the Shadows at 9:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'll have my good friend Bigfoot Dwarf on. We're going to talk about the aftermath of the fires in Las Vegas. In Los Angeles, and some of the things that's gone on out there. Maybe some weird stuff. And then Friday night, I will be doing Paranormal Point of View. That'll be doing some review on some books and some movies and who knows what else on Paranormal Point of View. And also, if you need to get in touch with me, you can reach me at denniswcarroll.com. Yes, I do have a Patreon. And also, you can reach me at denniswcarroll@gmail.com if you want to send me some email on that. And also, my books are available. Yes, I have several books I'm working on one right now. Hopefully, will be out very soon. But I have some books available on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. Just look me up under Dennis W. Carroll, okay, and you can find me there as well. And also, I'll be doing a show, I think, next week with our good friend Shanti on Aquarius Rising Africa. We're going to be doing part 3 on the real society. This has been a fascinating subject, and we've deep dive into this stuff, and I think it's still an ongoing thing today. So check it out if you get a chance.
Awesome. And we're going to be tuning in tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern to Hunting the Shadows. Dennis has a show. You said tonight's Brown Dwarf coming on, right, Dennis? We got Brown, or actually Bigfoot Dwarf. Bigfoot Dwarf's in the chat. What's up, Bigfoot Dwarf? That's going to be awesome. I was actually on Shanti's show yesterday. We talked about reptilians again.
Yeah, that was a great show. I was in the
thank you.
chat. You did, it was a great show.
I saw you in there, Dennis. Thank you for being there. And that's Aquarius Rising Africa. If you guys want to check those shows out, Chantel is amazing, and Dennis and I both go on her shows occasionally, and have a great time. That's based out of South Africa, so we're worldwide, Dennis. Okay, I love it. But it's great information that you're putting out, Dennis, and so I really appreciate you being here and sharing your knowledge with me and our audience today, because we have the best audiences on the internet, Dennis, you and I both. And and there's Shanti in the chat right now. Hey, Shanti.
Yep.
Okay. Well, that's wonderful, Dennis. We'll see you over in your chat tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern. You guys, thank y'all so much for being here today. I want to thank everybody who Firewater by Design, thank you so much. You gave a super sticker too. Thank you so much. It says I'm too weak to chat, but I wanted to show a little love and support. Well, I pray that you feel better. Okay. Firewater by Design. Thank you so much for your support. That is so sweet of you. So thank you for that, the super sticker. Also, Skip and Maureen, thank you so much for those super stickers. And shout out to all of my channel members and Patreon members and everybody that was here today. All my moderators, y'all are kicking butt and taking names out there. I appreciate y'all.
That's a great show. I'm a member of the Hunt Club too, and I always look forward to your videos on there.
Yes, thank you. I'm gonna be putting one out today. I said I was gonna put one out yesterday, and I got too busy. And honestly, I had to take a nap. I was so exhausted yesterday. I never take naps, Dennis, and I ended up falling asleep on my couch yesterday. It was wild. Okay, so we're just going. So I needed it. Yeah, I needed it. But yeah, this is awesome. I hope everybody enjoyed the show today. You guys, please come back and see me tomorrow night. I will have my good friends, Sean Bond. You guys y'all haven't seen Sean Bond yet on my channel. You've seen him on Spaced Out Radio. Sean Bond is coming on with our chimera. They have given me a really fantastic remote viewing target, and it's going to blow your socks off. Okay. So y'all please come back here 8:00 Eastern tomorrow night, 5 Pacific, with Sean Bond of the Psionic League on YouTube and Arkemra. He was here last Thursday. Please come back and see me there. And everybody have a great day. Y'all please stay safe out there, and y'all keep your head on a swivel. Like I always say, stay safe and don't live in fear, and keep your eyes to the sky. Okay. Have a great day, Dennis. Thanks, y'all. I'll see you later. Bye.